Hi,
John.
Hugh.
Hi.
Hi, Noel. How are you both?
Hi.
Very
Very
good.
good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, great, thank you. And so excited to be speaking to you both for this series because I had so much fun. And Noel, I wanted to start with you, at least initially in the series. Dick isn't exactly very good at what he does as a highwayman. So what's the fun in playing a character like that for you?
I sort of feel like if he was a good highwayman, it would be it would be very funny. So yeah, we decided to make him quite inept and useless at being a highwayman. But son just about get by on his charm and his creative ideas and his kindness. So um, yeah, he can't ride a horse. He can't shoot a gun. He doesn't really know what he's doing. He's way out of his depth. He's a fish out of water. But I feel like those things are good for comedy. If it was a drama, maybe I wouldn't be sitting here. There'd be someone else, some muscle-bound, handsome, lantern-jawed star, Hollywood star. But yeah, for comedy, it's okay. I think if you're rubbish.
Yeah, for sure. And Hugh, you're playing a great villain here, but he's a little bit hapless at times as well. And we see an interesting dynamic with Noel's character. So, what was the fun for you in playing a villain like this one?
Well, it's deeply frustrating for Jonathan Wilde, whose main ambition in life is to be a Bond villain and and scare the living daylights out of everyone. But unfortunately, the person he's meant to be scaring just doesn't really notice, i.e., Dick Turpin. And on the other hand, he's also being completely undermined by his 12-year-old son slurping drinks in the background. So his ambitions of ruling the underworld by being frightening are sort of scuppered at every turn, and that's obviously a great comedic vein to tap.
Yeah, and I have to ask, I know you're a professional, Hugh, but that scene with the Dick puns, how'd you get through something like that with keeping a straight face? Because you're reeling off some really great one-liners there.
Well, I think the thing about characters' names are very important, and you're trying to extend Dick as much as you can. And if you can handle Dick, then I think it's a great name, it's a great word. It doesn't translate into every country in the same way, but he's I've seen him play Dick, and
I'm a classic Dick.
he's a classic Dick, and it's certainly one of the most interesting Dicks I've ever seen.
I think that might be the best interview answer I've ever had. But Noel, I know you're a producer on the project as well. For all the people you to make up adventures for, why Dick Turpin for you?
I guess Robin Hood's been done. I mean, actually, the production company said, "Would you like to play Dick Turpin?" And I did want to play Dick Turpin. And also, I'd sort of Adamant was probably the first. Prince Charming was probably the first album that I bought, so I was a big fan of Adamant, and he managed to turn Dick Turpin into a sort of fashion icon and a dandy. So that version of Dick Turpin sort of looms large in my psyche. And yeah, knowing it was going to be a comedy, I just thought, there's definitely something we can do with Dick Turpin. It hasn't been done for a while. I know the Carry-Ons did do Dick Turpin, but it hasn't. There's not been a film recently, and there hasn't been definitely a comedy show since then. So it felt like we could do something with this. And then when Apple got involved, and they were keen on the idea, and then when Hugh said yes to be the thief taker, we just thought, this could be great. And there are lots of characters in this show, and the 18th century, it's an interesting world, and there's tons of characters. Asim plays a warlock. We've got some really good people in it. Joe Wilkinson's the jailer. Jessica Hines is a witch. There's all these sort of brilliant comedy people in it that we sort of fill the world with. So something about a period costume, something about a blouse, a frilly white blouse.
Yeah, but really up front and centre is Noel's Dick. And we should never lose sight of that.
We should try not to lose sight of Dick.
But it's a phenomenal cast. But I think people are going to love seeing you two together. Your characters clash. You also team up a little bit. There's that great sequence in the fight pit, which I think I'm not going to spoil it, the way that ends, so unexpected, so funny. So what did you enjoy, both of you, about working together and finding those different dynamics, friends, enemies, a bit of everything?
It was fun, actually. Yeah, it did take you back to the sort of those buddy movies of the 80s where someone is literally chained together, having to cross America, in our case, across London. Yeah. And so we did spend several days handcuffed together. And yeah, I'd forgotten this, that the fight sequences was really immersive and quite exciting to be part of.
Paul Kay was brilliant in that. There's some, also we have quite a good double act chemistry, we have quite a good Hugh's character, Hugh's quite high status and I'm quite low status. We work quite well together, and that's hard to, you never really know if that's going to happen or not, but it did. So we were very lucky. We had a good director as well, so who's very good at making things look exciting and dramatic and action-packed, but also really good at comedy. So
yeah, it came together wonderfully. And, Hugh, that great dynamic you have with young Samuel Leakey as Christopher, I don't feel like with a villain, we've really seen that father-son dynamic and the annoyance he has of having to almost be this single parent, taking his kid to work. So what about that was fun for you and working with an actor like Sam?
Oh, well, Sam's great because he's obviously, he's just a young lad, but he's got great comic instinct. He's got funny bones and isn't and doesn't, he doesn't ever sell it too hard to the audience. So that's a genuine talent, I think. And he's a nice lad as well, because sometimes they're not precocious kids, but he's actually delightful. And so some of those comic, little beats that every parent will recognise, the dynamic between the parent who's trying to do something serious, usually on Zoom at a work meeting, and some kid prances in the background, like that thing that went viral. It's very recognisable and very relatable, and it's just fun, especially when you've got an uptight dad who's trying to rule the underworld.
And, as you said, Noel, there's some phenomenal British actors in this cast, both of you included, of course. And with this going out on Apple TV, they're going to reach a global audience, some of them for the first time. So how important to both of you is it that British comedy be highlighted in the way it is with a show like this one?
I think it's great that, I feel like there's a real sort of British feel to the show, but there's so many great performers there, Mark Heap and Tamsin Gregg and Diane Morgan, and it's just, there's so many good British comedians, and I feel like it's it'll be difficult. I feel like there's such an array of talent there that it's difficult not to enjoy it, because there's lots of different kinds of comedy in the mix, and Asim is very physical, and Mark Heap is just brilliant at wordplay, and there's all this sort of different layers going on. So I'm hoping people will really like it. Sometimes if you've got to appeal globally, then maybe the best thing you can do is just show off what you do best in Britain, and I feel like Britain does comedy really well, and there's so many great comedians. So I don't know.
I think the fact that the switch of a button, this can be seen in pretty much every country in the world. It's quite a strange concept, which wasn't around 10 years ago. So to have a global reach and to show off British talent, in this way is a great opportunity. And some people, in our show haven't had an international audience before, so it may not be everybody's cup of tea, but hopefully it will travel and show a different side of what we do here. You
can't think about it too much. I mean, if you write a joke and it's a good joke, that's one thing, but then is it a global joke? I don't know.
I always think, I think this is true in all walks of writing, be it drama or comedy. If you're specific, if you're true to the world that you've created,
yes,
then hopefully an audience will recognise it.
Yeah. Well, I have no doubt people will love this series as much as I did. So, Noel, Hugh, thank you so much for your time. Big fan of you both, and wonderful to speak to you today. Thank you.
Thank you very much.